What this is about, I've had several requests over the last little bit for a shop tour. I think I originally shot a little bit of a shop tour kind of thing with my telephone, first Android phone I had, and then shot some video, and I was just enamored. I never had a telephone and shoot video. So anyway, and I put some stills. I think it was just a mixture of video and stills that I throw together. Not very good. Didn't explain anything. Didn't talk about anything. So anyway, I'm going to do a shop tour here. I got several requests for it, and I'm going to run around here and show various things in the shop and maybe talk about them a little bit. And I'm going to give. Of course, I don't know. I'm a pretty opinionated fella, so I'm going to give my opinion on some of these tools that you see as I go through the shop and talking about them. That don't mean that I endorse that manufacturer or I don't like that manufacturer. That means for what I use them for, those tools do what they say they do or they don't. I've pretty much got it down. So anyway, like I said, I'm not endorsing anybody, not a commercial for anybody, but I am going to talk about whether I like it or not as a general rule. So I'm going to throw that in the shop tour. So anyhow, I'm going to get started on it here. Here's what I'd call the office workstation. Computer, speakers and stuff, and my telephone. And I sit there and sometimes post my pictures. Sometimes I do my video editing down here. Sometimes I do it at home. Just depends. I look up parts and cabinet parts and hardware pieces and do my ordering from here. It's all that sort of thing that you'd do in an office. I just don't have a separate office. I've got to constantly be cleaning and blowing out the computer and stuff for the dust because like everybody else's shop, I got dust floats around everywhere. So anyway, moving on from there, and I've had several comments about the wall over here of clamps. Of course, I don't have near as many clamps as some of the other woodworkers do. You can't never have too many, but some of those guys got more clamps than my shop would hold. But I get by with these. Sometimes I run shot. And when I do, my dad's got a big assortment and collection too in his shop. He does woodworking also. Anyway, I wanted to talk just a little bit. Because a fella asked me the other day about some of these things, and I said we'd talk about them. Right, I don't know if you can see these things right here. These are bow clamps. I made those working on the display project, and of course you can buy those. You can buy those online, and I'm sure they're probably much fancier and nicer. But these I just made in a minute. Gives you the ability to take two clamps and clamp a big long piece, flat, whatever, if you're veneering. Of course, I've got an assortment of pipe clamps and smaller clamps, and this is my charging station for my cordless tools. Charge all my batteries, all my chargers here, then the extra batteries are stored under there. And I've got, of course, see, so over here some of my bigger clamps. My Bessies and the Irwins. I like both of these clamps. The Bessie is probably the very best clamp. I think Bessie's the best that I've ever used. I think it's probably the best on the market. The Irwin is a cheaper clamp. I bought these right smart cheaper. I got two of the short ones and two of the long ones. I guess a 2 foot and a 4 foot, or whatever they are measured out to be. But I got those substantially cheaper than the Bessie. Now, the difference being you can clamp a lot tighter with the Irwin than you can the Bessie. And the reason being, the threads is a whole lot coarser on the Bessie than they are the Irwin. The Irwin's about finer threads on the rods, so you can put more pressure on them. So if that's the factor you're looking at clamps, just keep that in mind. So anyhow, this next gadget over here I've been asked about multiple times. This thing right here. This is a homemade vacuum pump. It's a Venturi vacuum pump instead of one of the others that runs off of a motor. This runs off compressed air. And if you're unfamiliar with that, well, you can Google it and find out how that works and all kinds of information. But anyway, what that does is provide a vacuum for the bag for my vacuum press. Sometimes it lays up here on this shelf. My bag lays up here ready to go, and then of course I keep my string here. And if you're unfamiliar with seeing that done, if you've never seen it done, it's kind of an amazing thing to watch. I don't have any video. The next time that I do some work that requires a vacuum press, I certainly am going to video it and show it all about it and that sort of thing. But that's what all that stuff is for. We're going to come back around here to this just little store-bought cheap workbench thing that I acquired somewhere. Somebody gave it away to me, I think it was, and some of my cordless tools down there in it and that sort of thing. So it's back up here, and I got a bunch of storage here. I got some cabinets. Let's see if I can get one of these open and show. Mess in here, so but it's that's where I keep various assorted junk. The door won't stay open. Of course, we got stains and finishes up here, my spray equipment, some of it, and extra rags and glue and sheetrock stuff down on the bottom. I used to do work like that and remodel houses and stuff and go out and work that way and maybe sheetrock stuff. Of course, we got over here bends and screws, and first one thing to another, I keep nails for my iron nail gun and plumbing parts, screws. Just assorted parts for operation in the workshop there and that sort of thing. Back on up here, right here's my main workbench, my main workstation. Of course, sometimes I get to use the tools and sometimes not, but keep one around certainly to sit down on if I need to work. But a little vacuum cleaner there that's quit working on me. I think the thing's burned up, might have to tire into. But anyway, that's my main workbench, and of course I keep hand tools and various assorted stuff like that in the drawers and the cabinets. That's actually an island out of a house that was going to get thrown away, and I'd done the cabinets in that particular home, and they wanted me to take that island away, get rid of it, because I built a new one, much fancier one than that. So I just kept it and used it as workbench. It turned out just great, and that kept from throwing it away. It was built well enough to support the work and all that stuff, so I just kept that. So now we keep moving on around here to my table saw. And what this is right here, this is actually the dedicated outfeed table for the saw. And then I put storage in here under it. It's out here on this end, and put these dividers in here for my nail guns, and I keep my compressor down here that I carry out to put cabinets in, molding up and stuff like that, little storage. This is a cabinet maker's workbench that's never been completed. I got to using it, didn't have time to finish it. All this, it's just open storage over here. When it's finished, it's got doors and cabinets and that sort of thing, but I never have. But that is pushed up against that, so that gives me that extra large work surface. And I can work off of this and do regular work off of this area here if I'm not using the saw extremely long stuff. But what that does is give me the ability to work an entire sheet of plywood by myself. I get it up on the saw, hold it, get it cut, and I can push it out through there, and it sits out there on the outfeed table without having to worry about it falling off or dropping it or something like that. So that works out really well. It's just made out of plywood, MDF for the top. I've got in the storage area right here, and it only comes back about this far. So all that area over there is storage in there, and I got hardwood floor under that for the house. And so that's the storage area. Move around here. Of course, here you get to see the flooring. And Grizzly table saw. Of course, when I bought this saw, I got the the big rails. So I'm able to cut, what is, I think about 52 inches, 53 inches from the fence to the saw blade if I need to. It was after that 4 foot mark. I wanted to be able to cut at least 4 foot. So anyway, I bought the big rails on it, and then I added the Wixie. Is that how you pronounce that? Yeah, Wixie. I've added the Wixie digital gauge to it right here. Most certainly a worthwhile investment. You're able to go back and repeat that setup with extreme accuracy. It works great. I'd be lost on my saw without it. And to me, the Grizzly is one of the best saws for the money that you can buy. I know they're made in Taiwan or wherever it is they're made. So is everybody else's, except maybe Powermatic. I think their table saw is still made here. And the Deltas. The new Deltas are made here in the States, I think I read. But my God, they cost 3 times what this Grizzly does. This 3 horsepower saw. I don't know what anybody else would think about it, but if you can get your saw to run true, cut true, accurate, and with plenty of power, I don't know how you improve on it. So, and this one does. I mean, I've got it tuned down to almost perfection. It's super. I wouldn't trade my saw for anything. But that's just me. It does for me what I need to do. So it might not be that for somebody else, but it works great for me. So anyway, carried on. Of course, up there we got the air conditioner on the wall, keep the place cool. There's my drill press. I use a woodpecker table and fence system on that. Works out really good for boring holes in cabinet doors and that sort of thing. And of course, you got storage area here for drill bits. And I got a few saws hanging on the wall. There's various hand tools and got drill bits and sorted. Well, there's where I keep all my actual hand tools. I'm a mechanic for several years back in another life almost. But that's where I keep all of those tools. Wrenches, screwdrivers, sockets and ratchets, and specialty tools and all that sort of thing. So anyway, moving along here. Another drill press I use for various functions there. Sometimes I get on a project that I need 2 or 3. My little portable dust extractor, I think I got a video out on that. If you hadn't saw it, watch it. I'll talk a little bit more about it. Little homemade thing on a cart and I can roll around, but works really, really well for what I use it for. So, like I said, I got a video on it. If you're interested, you can watch that. The drum sander, I got a jet drum sander, a 1632, do 16 inches one pass, you spin around and do 32 inch wide panel. Of course, that goes back to the cabinet making things. If you have to glue up a panel and it's a little bit off, nothing works like a drum sander to smooth it back out. So that's and I really like that. I see that they came out with one now that oscillates and don't leave sanding marks. That would be really, really nice. If somebody was interested. Of course, this is my Grizzly molding machine, planer molder together, but I keep it set up as a molding machine. I've got molding knives in it and make crown molding, base molding, any kind of molding you want to buy a knife for. This thing works great. I really like it. It's just a small molding machine. It's just only got the one head, so you can only do one side at a time. There's a lot of big machines. It's a commercial grade. You can do all 4 sides. I don't have any room for anything like that, but this works great. Normally, I make all the molding for my cabinets. Locally here, you can't hardly go buy any molding. You might go buy a piece of oak, but that's the extent of it. If you want a piece of cherry molding or a walnut or something like that, you can't get it. You have to order it, or ain't nobody got it. So I got the machine and I make whatever I need. That way I can continue on with the project. Set up here beside that, of course, is my miter saw and stand. It don't stay right there all the time. I put it up here when I need it and then take it away when I don't, and that sort of thing. But I've been cutting the crown molding and the base molding for the display cabinet, so I had it set up here in the shop. Right here, of course, is my Radial Arm Saw. It's an old Craftsman unit that I bought cheap, tore apart, refurbished, and put everything back into specs and tightened up and got it all back in tip-top shape, and then it works great. I know a lot of people read a lot of articles about it, and a lot of people don't like them. They say they're dangerous and all that sort of thing, and I tell them people they shouldn't be in the woodworking business. But anyway, it's a unique piece. The arm saw is, like I said, people love them or hate them. I love it. You can do any number of things. It's just unbelievable what you can actually accomplish with an arm saw. But anyway, this one here set up, I mostly do straight cuts on it, but sometimes I'll straighten boards. I'll use a molding head on it to make some profiles on pieces of molding that's extreme custom, and I'm trying to match something. That's one of the uses for it that's is really good. You can put a molding head on it and twist it and turn it and carry on with it until you can about just make any pattern that you want. If you spend enough time laying it out there, you can just about create any kind of custom design that you want with this thing. So that works great for me. Might not for anybody else, but I find it extremely useful. Moving along here. Wait, let's back up. I guess I need to. I got my hose reel up here. Of course, I got air plumbed in. It goes all the way from the front of the shop here to the back. And then there's a regulator and a filter and all that thing and that sort of stuff. But there's my hose reel where I can pull out and reel it back, and then various levels and measuring devices and tools hung on the wall right over here. And so there's that. Never mind the motorcycle sitting in here. It gets pushed out when I'm able. Storage area over here basically for some lumber and cabinets that I roll around. This one's on wheels. I've got my pantograph on it, and I set up a Craig pocket hole machine on it when I just set it up there and clamp it in. Move it around that way, and then that's the cart over here that I keep wood and stuff on, and I've got wood stored just about in every corner, everywhere. Anyway, moving on around here, there's my big Grizzly Planer, 20-inch planer from Grizzly. I don't know, that's something probably wouldn't be a whole lot of use for people to have one that big, but back again, in the cabinet business, you sometimes get a panel that's pretty good size, bigger than 15 inches, what a normal planer might be. And you might need to plane it down. It may be a cup or bow or something, you need to work it out or whatever. So it takes a little bit more. And so anyway, I got the 20-inch planer. It's just got the 4 knives on the cutter head. It's not a spiral cutter head. It's an older machine, but I bought used. But 5 horsepower machine, and it does great. Does a great job for me. Everything I need it to. So that works out well. Over here in this corner, I've got the Shopsmith. That's another one of them tools that people love or hate, or they love to hate. I don't. I've heard a lot of comments about it, but I personally use mine a tremendous amount. There's some functions that I don't use about it. I don't use the table saw very much. If you're working with very big stuff, it's kind of hard to do because it ain't big enough. But other functions work super well. This is my only lathe. I use this for all my lathe work. I got a duplicator for it, and it works great. So it works great as a lathe. And I've got a small bandsaw for it, and it works great. I keep a small blade on this one to cut small stuff with in corner and circles. I mean. And it works great for that. And on my other bandsaw, I keep a bigger blade. But this works great for that. And I do some molding work on it. You can put a molding head on this machine and slow it down. Where it don't run so fast like a table saw. You can work with it. You can sand with it and turn this thing up. It makes a super drill press. If you need a drill press, I used to use it all the time. Not quite so much now since I got the Porter cable, but I still use it when I have to do something and hold it in some kind of crazy manner. Of course, over there on the wall is all the tools. I got my tools for lathe turning and stuff, and then accessories behind it in the cabinet there for all the stuff we do with it. Here is my main router station. It's one of the first pieces I built here in the shop, and it's just built out of scraps and tested on it and that sort of thing. So you can open the doors, you get access to the dust area in here. Got some storage for wrenches and stuff in there, and we've got some router bit storage all the way down on both sides. And got a back over here and get the camera back up here. It's got a, I use a Jessen lift in it, router lift, and a DeWalt router, and a Freud fence on it. It's kind of a mixed mash of things, but it works out great for me. It's just a 2¼ horsepower router in it. I don't use any great big bits, although it'll run a panel raising bit up to that size. But I don't have to do that in my router anymore because I've got shapers. But anyway, the Jessen router lift works super. It's great piece. I recommend it to anybody. Fluid fence, just like the shaper, it's great too. I couldn't be any better. So we just got router accessories up here, some fences, and then some storage up there. And this is my sanding center starting my here, and I keep my sandpaper in there. And here's another little router table that I built the table for, and it's a little Sears Craftsman or something router that sits on top of it. That's a dedicated machine. There's a 1/8" round over bit stays in there, and it's got a zero clearance insert in it. I use that to make toy parts and that sort of stuff. And like I said, it never changes. Just a 1/8" bit in it, and sometimes I take the fence off and move it, and sometimes I use it there for dust collection. But just a little old cheap store-bought Sears thing. It's old, but it does super for what I need it for there, and it works great. Of course, here's my joiner, a little Delta 6" joiner, just like you'd buy about anywhere. Nothing special about it, just a little 6" Delta. And at some point in time, I'll upgrade that when I've got my eyeball on a big 8" Grizzly with a big long bed on it. So probably do that in the future. So this back here is what I'd call my sanding area. I got my oscillating spindle sander back there, and it's a little old Grizzly belt sander beside of it there. And I keep templates hanging on the wall and that sort of thing, and just a storage cabinet there for various pieces for the router and that sort of thing. And back here on the corner is a little bit of lumber storage. I don't keep a whole lot in here, but a little bit I got there on the wall, and maybe smaller stuff that's a little bit too small to use right away, but too good to throw out. I know everybody's got that stuff. So anyway, that's where I keep all of that. Right here's my sanding table. It's got a Delta downdraft table in it, and it's hooked into the dust collection. Of course, I've got these pieces of cedar here for a project I laid out here on it now. But I guess you can see it. Move the camera over here. But it's just a Delta downdraft table, and it's got a port, and you hook it into the dust collection system. I mounted it in this cabinet. It works out well. You can put your smaller stuff on here and sand it, and it collects the dust well from it, and that sort of thing. So get down here, of course, where you can see them or not. I keep my sanders and that sort of thing in there, and I keep them out of the way, and so that's where I keep my sanders. But it's called this the sanding area. It's back here. And of course, there's my little scroll saw. Don't do a huge amount of scroll saw work, but sometimes I do some inlays, and first one thing to another, and do a scroll saw work with that. A pretty good little piece. It's I believe it's a Hitachi. I think it was it was a Hitachi scroll saw machine. It works good, and I keep a couple of toolboxes sitting on it. It runs pretty smooth, surprisingly. I know some of the more expensive machines is really really nice and really smooth, like the DeWalt or the Excalibur or something like that. And if I'd done a whole lot of scroll sawing, I'd probably have to have one of those. But this one does fairly well. It runs pretty smooth, and with the addition of those little toolboxes sitting up there as storage sitting on it, that really helped it a lot. It really runs even smoother with that, so that worked out great. Over here, got a little shelf that I put on the wall. Got another little drill press. I know everybody's wondering why I got so many drill presses, but they do different functions. When I get to making toys, I can set them all up, and I can do different functions. I don't have to change bits. I don't have to change setup. All I gotta do is walk over to the next machine. So that works out well. So I just keep there's little bits that goes in this one, and then just bore really small holes in the toy parts and that sort of thing. So it works out really well. This beast right here is my general Mortis machine. Got a couple of videos with a little bit of Mortis use in it, but of course it holds different pieces. And I really like this thing. This is a tilting head mortise or two. Most of them is just a fix. This one will tilt, and you can do a mortise on like a 45-degree angle if you need to. Not that I ever had to do that much, but I have on occasion. I had need to put an angled mortise in something, but not very much. But it's still a big heavy machine, and it's rock solid, and it does a good job. I recommend anybody that was looking for a mortise machine look at the General. Okay, this is my Hitachi table saw. This is the table saw that I started out with when I started the business. It was just a mid-level saw. You couldn't hardly call it a cabinet saw. It didn't have a full cabinet, just have a hash one. But it's a super saw, especially for the money. I would call it kind of intermediate. I believe they call them hybrid. You can still buy saws like this. I think the Porter cable that they sell at Lowe's is made just like this Hitachi. I think it's almost the same saw. Maybe it is the same saw. I don't know. But anyway, that was the first one I started with in the business. Here where it is now, not the first one that I had, but it's the first one that I had in this location. Of course, I got a Beesmeyer fence on it, and man, that thing works great. Of course, everybody knows about the Beesmeyer thing, woodworking stuff or whatever. But it works great. But this is a dedicated dado saw now. I keep a dado blade on it, and that's all this saw does now is run dado blade. And then it holds my fence system, my Incra positioner. And I'll get this up here and show that while I'm working here. What this is, okay, what I do is, what happens there is when I'm not using this saw as a dado saw, I've got an extension wing on it here that's got a router in it. Got a big router in this, and this is my anchor positioner. Now, I'm gonna shoot some video using this thing next time I get started on the project. But of course, you cut dovetails, box joints, finger joints, anything you can imagine with this. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it. You can find stuff on the internet about it, the anchor positioner. Check it out if you're interested. But the next time I get to doing some dovetails or box joints or something with it, I want to shoot a video on it and let's see how it works. But it's one of the most accurate pieces in the shop, and I wouldn't take anything for it. I don't use it every day, but when I need a dovetail, this will cut it, and it'll cut it with precision like is unmatched to anything that I've seen. Maybe a CNC machine would probably be closer, but it does super. It does super for me. Learning curve to it. Took me a while to figure out how to work it and get those precision cuts. But once you do, and you can do it, and you can come back 2 weeks later and repeat it down to the 64th. It just works great. So that's all I'm going to talk about that. We'll cover it some more in the future. Of course, here's my bandsaw. Got a Rikon. I think they call it a 14-inch deluxe. It'll resaw 13 inches. Was not I've always been happy with the saw. The way it's made, it's got the roller bearing guides and stuff on it. Got a big table, got that big resawing capacity. Was always happy with that. Was always underpowered. It said it came with a 2 horsepower motor on it. Or maybe it was 1.5. I don't remember what the claim was, but it was one of those Taiwan motors, and it just had no power. It didn't have enough power to do any resawing with. So Rock-On came out with the big motor. They come out with a 3 horsepower bow door. So that's what I've got on it now. It's saw now. Now I'm completely satisfied with this saw, but I had to spend that extra money to buy the new motor. But that bow door makes so much difference. The saw runs smoother. It's got enough power to saw anything you want. You can put a 3/4 inch blade like I've got on it here now, and you can come in here and resaw a piece of white oak or walnut 12 inches wide, no problem at all. Just cut through it, no problem at all. So if you're looking at band saws, keep that in mind. Got my oscillating belt sander over here. It's a Jet. Really pleased with it. That works super for cabinet doors and that sort of thing. So yeah, you wouldn't realize how much work you actually do on one of those till you get one. If you've never had it, I don't think I could function now that I've got used to it. And then hanging on the wall, we got various jigs and hold downs, and I've got up there's a miter sled for the band saw, and a regular sled for the band saw, and all kinds of jigs right there to hold toy parts, and then on a cabinet there that I hung on the wall to keep stuff in. There's patterns for the arches and door panels, and when we do a raised panel door that's got a cathedral arch or something like that, there's panels for those. And okay, let's come back around here. Here's my shaper area. Of course, one of my shapers here, my Jet. It's a little 1/2 horsepower machine. It's a good machine. There's features about it that I like really well if you're looking for shaper. The fence system works really good. The hold downs that come with it, the factory hold downs are really good. I don't care much for a way that it adjusts. And the spindle travel, I don't know what it is, but it's not a lot. It's a little bit aggravating to adjust, but does a fine job. Of course, that's just one of the shapers. I bought that one used. And a little toolbox I keep beside of it there to keep the tools and cutters and stuff in for the shapers. Of course, this one's been on many videos that I've done. This is my Grizzly shaper. It's a workhorse of the shop. I do all kinds of stuff on this shaper. Of course, it's a 1.5 horsepower too. It's just a small shaper in the shaper world. But it does a super job, and anybody that was looking at a shaper, seriously looking to buy one, I'd tell them to look hard at that Grizzly. It does a fine job. For the money, I don't think you can beat it. So, well made, and it serves me well. I bought the extension table when I bought mine. The table, I guess, is about the same size as the Jet, but then you get an extension. It was, I don't know, $60, $75 something maybe for this cast iron extension, but makes it really nice when you're working, especially working with a sled or something, or working with a big piece. Makes it really nice. So that works great. So anyway, I guess, and oh yeah, the dust collection. Of course, I've got it piped in, and it's hanging from the ceiling, and it goes right out the wall out there to the Cyclone dust collector. That's a homemade unit. I think I've got a 3 horsepower motor out there on it. I believe it's what it is. And it's a homemade Cyclone. It's made out of sheet metal. I'll have to do a separate video on that. But anyway, that's piped in here, and it runs the length of the shop to all the machines and that sort of thing. So, but anyway, I had a bunch of questions, and everybody wanted to know what size the shop is. The shop's 36 by 36. And Of course, it's got 2 doors in it. It was originally built by a fellow that was in the race car business. He raced cars, and he worked on cars and that sort of thing. Bought the place off of him, and this was his garage. This is where he worked on his race cars and that sort of stuff. So anyway, I turned it into a wood shop, and it is. That's what we've got here now. I've got plans to do some more updating. There'll be an entire finished room addition to the shop here soon. And I'm probably going to add some more machines. I've got a need for just a little bit more machines. Although it's getting kind of crowded in here, it's hard to find somewhere to put one. But I think there's another piece or two that I need to add to it. So probably be adding that later on, and when we do that, we'll video that. So anyway, that's the shop, and I hope everybody enjoyed the little tour around here. If you got any questions, by all means, just ask them. Send me an email or post it on YouTube channel, or however you want to. Just ask me if you got any. And if I can, I'll answer them. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.